Hi everyone, we're going to talk about curriculum. Curriculum is intentional learning experiences designed by a teacher or team of teachers in response to what they know and observe about children in their classroom. So considerations about children's learning. Developmentally appropriate practice, sometimes DAP, engage in teaching practices that are at the children's developmental level. It challenges children or students enough to promote progress and interests. You don't make things too easy. And that's Vygotsky's zone of proximal development, right? Where it's just a little bit challenging for a student or a child, and with adult support or possibly even peer support, they can be successful. So developmentally appropriate practice creates goals that are both challenging and achievable. Base practice on knowledge, not assumptions. You don't just assume that all children are learning at the same level. You get to know individual children, and that's what you base your teaching practice on. Principles of teaching young children. How children learn. Children in early learning or early childhood developmental age, so birth through 8 years old, are concrete sensory experiences. They learn by doing. They learn through direct experiences with the world. Children reflect upon their own actions and experiences to build knowledge. Repeated experiences foster formulations of concepts. That's why you see children doing tasks over and over or wanting to read the same book, right? So they're developing concepts through that experience. And every child learns at their own unique pace, and every child needs supports from adults to learn. Communication and consistency between home and school is vital for children to be in an optimum learning environment. So again, what is curriculum? It's intentional learning experiences designed by a teacher or team of teachers in response to what they know and observe about children. So areas of learning in an early childhood classroom, you have music, art, language or literacy, social studies, math, and science. And sometimes these are all represented in different centers. So here are the 4 domains that we focus on in early childhood education: the physical, creative or emotional, inquiry or intellectual, communication or emotional social. Sometimes we talk about this as pies, which would be physical, intellectual, emotional, social, right? So with physical domain, you're developing small muscles or large muscles or creative movement. For creative, that might be happening in the music or art centers, intellectual, math and science centers or activities, and emotional, social, language, literacy, and social studies. Types of curriculum. What you teach reflects your values for society. What knowledge and skills should children have to be productive members of society? And this may differ amongst ourselves even in our classroom, right? So we all have different values for society, and those values would influence what we think children need to be productive members of society. What do you believe about children and what they should be learning? Really reflect on that. Children learn through play, children learn through choice, and children learn from peers and cooperation. Types of curriculum or curriculum approaches. So there are boxed curriculum, which a lot of school districts use now. What is boxed curriculum good for? It's great for new teachers. It provides a scope and sequence of activities for teaching. It's often written with developmental progressions in mind. What are the drawbacks of box curriculum? It's boxed. It's limited academic freedom, right? It's not, you're not being creative with topics or subjects that you may want to teach. It may not be provided in the box. It implies a one-size-fits-all approach to education. So theme-driven curriculum, themes should integrate all skill, developmental, and content areas. So when you go back to themes, let's see if I can go back. Can't go back. So with themes, you're going to have that theme in all the different centers within the classroom, right? So like if you're learning about colors, maybe you have books that represent all different colors, maybe the rainbow. In dramatic play, maybe you're going to have a flower garden that has all these different, or flower shop with all these different colors, different things like that, okay? So emergent curriculum is a way of planning based on students' interest. When a teacher sees an interest emerging from a child, the teacher brainstorms ways to study the topic in depth. So here, we could think about the theme of colors. And here this child is mixing colors to get, right, pink, and blue create a light purple. And so maybe if a child is really interested in creating different colors, maybe that becomes a study in your classroom, an emergent study. So a group of 3 to 4-year-olds had been drawing and talking about rainbows repeatedly, sharing their experiences of where they had seen rainbows and what they look like. Their teacher asked, "When do you see rainbows?" Child 1 responds, "Up in the sky." Child 2 responds, "After it rains." Child 3 then adds, "Yeah, when it's all wet." Then child 2 adds, "Yeah, but when the sun comes out and dries up all the rain and it goes up into the sky until it rains again," and demonstrates with his hands. Child 3 then adds, "And the rainbow gets stuck in the trees." And then he starts laughing. So it's become really fun. Child 4 then enters a conversation with, "It gets stuck over the trees." Then the teacher asks, "But how does a rainbow get there?" Another child adds, "Someone puts it there." Child 1 says, "The rainbow guy makes them." So the conversation continued with children agreeing that they weren't sure how rainbows were made, just that it had to be wet for them to get there, right? So children know that it has to be wet for a rainbow to appear, but they don't know how rainbows are made. So this could be an emergent topic or study. How are rainbows made? Inquiry-based curriculum supports children to develop questions, make observations, conduct research, develop methods for experimenting, collecting data, analyzing data, outline possible explanations. This could be, you could do this with the rainbow conversation that the children just had. Creating predictions for future study. So there are 4 different levels of inquiry-based curriculum. There's confirmation inquiry, which is level 1. Level 2 is structured inquiry. Level 3 is guided inquiry, and level 4 is the open true inquiry. And this shows you the different levels, right? So you have number 1 is a confirmation inquiry, and teacher involvement is high. It reinforces prior knowledge. Structure inquiry, teacher involvement is medium. Students follow a set process set up by the teacher. A guided inquiry, research question is only provided. So the teacher provides, how are rainbows made, right? So it's even lower teacher involvement. And then open true inquiry is the lowest teacher involvement, where students do everything. Project-based curriculum is large-scale project that demonstrates learning and competency in a variety of ways. Students must see the work as meaningful. There's no time restriction. It can go on forever if students are still interested in it. And sometimes as a teacher, you have to decide if there's still just one student still being part of the project-based in curriculum, like maybe studying rainbows and prisms, do you allow for that to continue in your classroom, or do you shut it down because only one child is interested? The project must fulfill an educational purpose. So integrated curriculum. Some examples are teaching math through music, teaching science through art, building children's language skills while discussing social studies related to different topics. So you're integrating different topics and learning through several different centers or medium of teaching. So program approaches. So there's the high scope program, which is plan, do, review. It's very structured. There's the Waldorf approach, which is based on nature and practical home-like activities. There's a Montessori approach, which is a lot of free play, mixed ages. Children really direct their own learning. And Reggio is that idea that there are multiple language of child expression. So children are so diverse that they express themselves in many different ways. So the Reggio classroom is going to provide those different ways for children to express and to participate in their learning. The environment is the third teacher. So in Reggio, the environment is set up very intentionally for children to participate in their own learning. Curriculum approaches, there's thematic, where you work from weekly or monthly themes. There's emergent, where you find out what children's interests are. You plan learning experience around children's interest. Inquiry-based is that scientific method where there's questions and investigations, and there were those 4 different steps or levels of inquiry. Project-based is large-scale projects over a long-term period of time. And integrated is when you're mixing areas of learning, teaching math through art and or music. So, approaches and curriculum. So we have the high scope approach, which is thematic, right? It organizes lessons around a theme or topic that spans multiple subjects and learning domains. The Waldorf approach is emergent. Learning experience for children designed by responding to their interests, needs, and skills. Montessori is integrated. Construct meaningful connections between disciplinary concepts. So your children are constructing learning and connections between different concepts. And Reggio, project-based, students develop knowledge and skills through engaging projects set around challenges and problems they may face in the real world. Observation and assessment. What are the goals and objectives of the curriculum I am implementing? Are my goals around physical development, cognition, language literacy, social, emotional? What are the children like individually? What are they like as a group? This is all going to affect how I observe and assess. Are there specific concerns that need my attention? And so I may need to really observe in that area. Gather information through observation is a way that early childhood educators assess children. Plan ahead and be objective and record facts. So here are some examples of a reflection and then how they're related to curriculum objectives, right? So all the children played cooperatively in the dramatic play area. That's an observation. So how is this an assessment? That these children who are playing in the dramatic area play well with other children. And so these are continued down. So the observation is that children had background knowledge about restaurants and food and applied it to their play in the dramatic play area. And then the assessment is that these children apply knowledge or experience to a new context. And then you can go through these. This PowerPoint will be posted if you want to go back and look at the slides. So curriculum planning needs to be around teaching times of the day. Curriculum planning can be done throughout a whole week. It needs to include your daily schedule, and there needs to be planning for each part of your daily schedule. It needs to have a purpose, so an objective, an outcome that you're measuring, and a teaching aim that you're targeting. It's a teaching strategies approach if you're familiar with teaching strategies or creative curriculum. So a way to brainstorm curriculum is by creating a concept web. And so here's one that's based on animal habitats. So the different animal habitats are desert, tropical rainforest, and tundra. And then within these habitats, you have the description of what those habitats are like. So an integrated activity web based on animal habitats is when you have your ideas from your previous brainstorming and you apply them in the different centers in the classroom and develop activities. So in blocks, you might have pictures of animals or habitats, different materials to build nests, rock caves, or ponds, which are all habitats of different animals, and then have different maybe animals to interact with the habitats that children are being made. So in the library, books on the Pacific Northwest, books on different animals. Music and movement might include an animal march, dramatic play. There's room to develop here, and the sensory table. So this is what an integrated activity web based on the topic of animal habitats looks like. You take your brainstorming concepts around animal habitats and you develop activities in the classroom centers that children can interact with to learn about animal habitats. So here is an example of curriculum planning for the week. You have your different domains on this side: reading and writing, language and literacy, math and numbers. Every week, what are we doing? So you might have also, instead of a daily activity, you have a weekly art activity, which is Lego prints. You have music and movement. The theme is around the world. Kindness curriculum or social emotional curriculum. They're talking about giving. Social studies, winter holidays, and science are talking about gravity. So you're having your weekly plan or your daily plan throughout the week, and then your weekly themes down here. Here's another one that's done. It's broken up by the daily schedule. So you have circle time, language, arts, writing, math, science, arts and crafts, and then the enhancement here. And every day you're planning for these activities on the left. Up here you have the shape is rectangle, color yellow, letter E. The theme is my family and home. Another way to arrange your curriculum planning, again, you can see the different areas here that we're planning for, and then the weekly or daily, what you're going to do in these different areas, centers, right?